Well, there's some high drama in the world of the Philadelphia Eagles today as Derek Barnett has demanded a trade out of Philadelphia. Also, injury updates on Haason Reddick. Will he play week 1 with that thumb injury? And what is going on with Nolan Smith? He continues to be out, yet there's no update. Finally, more Jonathan Taylor news. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Monday. Let's jump into the big news today regarding the Philadelphia Eagles, and that is Derek Barnett. How about this one from Jeremy Fowler? Out of nowhere, you see, quote, Derek Barnett, through agent Drew Rosenhaus, is gauging the market for the potential to play more elsewhere, per sources. Philly plans to keep Barnett, but understands a deep pass rush roster limits playing time. 2017 first-round pick should have trade value, end quote. And so he's gauging the market, a.k.a. he wants out of Philadelphia. He wants to go to some place where he can actually compete to be a number 2, maybe a number 3 defensive end, because on the Eagles' current roster, they're absolutely loaded, and playing time could be very, very low. While a lot of people might be very happy to see Derek Barnett lead, I wouldn't be. I think he kind of fills that Chris Long backup rotational pass rusher that Philadelphia always likes to have, and I was expecting him to have a pretty good year coming off of the injured year in 2022. It would definitely be a blow to the rotation, despite the rotation being very, very strong. Now, H.R. Parks points out they are very deep at defensive end and edge. They have Reddick, they have Sweat, they have Graham and Smith. They also have Janaris Robinson as an intriguing option. Teron Jackson has had a solid camp in the past. Barnett is a great defensive end 5, which I just mentioned. Eagles can get something of actual value for him. He makes sense to trade, end quote. And I would agree. Now, the value, though, is where we have to be real with ourselves. You're not getting a first or a second or a third or a fourth round draft pick for Derek Barnett. Due to his injury and lack of production the past couple of years, you're getting at best a 5th. And you're not really getting any cap value savings because getting rid of him would save you about $1 million in cap space. So overall, the savings of getting rid of Barnett aren't that great, which is why Philadelphia probably doesn't want to move him. But if Barnett demands a trade and says he's not going to play, then you might have to go ahead and kind of, grant his wishes and move on from Derek Barnett. Let me know what you guys think about the Barnett situation down below in the comments section. I think it's fascinating, but it does make sense for both sides if the Eagles are able to get something better than what I just said, like a 4th or a 5th round draft pick, versus Barnett being able to go and play somewhere else where fresh start and the ability to play a lot more because the Eagles are stacked at defensive end. Now let's move over here to the injury report. This comes today. The Eagles are not practicing today, but Jeff McClain did point out a couple of people who did not practice yesterday, one being Haason Reddick with that thumb, another being linebacker Nolan Smith with the shoulder. More on him in a second. Trey Sermon, he has an unknown injury, no clue what's going on there, and Greg Ward finally with the ankle. Let's start specifically with Haason Reddick. Now, Joe Castro, Phillies Talk podcast, he mentions that Reddick said today at the podium he expects to be good to go for week 1 following that thumb injury. He will take live reps for the next couple of days and see where he is. He also mentioned he's just going to kind of, wrap it up, put the club on, and get out there and play, much like a lot of pass rushers and offensive linemen are able to do when they suffer a hand injury. So despite not seeing Haason Reddick a lot, especially in 11-on-11s the past couple of weeks, he should start to have some live action over the next couple of practices as Philadelphia begins to prepare for their week 1 matchup less than 2 weeks away, 2 Sundays from now, or I should say, that's right, 2 Sundays from now against the New England Patriots. Reddick will be out there. Let's hope the thumb heals as quickly as possible, though. That way he is at close to 100% and can absolutely dominate what should be a pretty winnable game against not only Mac Jones, but that Patriot offensive line. Now, the concern for today, really, for me, is Nolan Smith. And obviously, H.R. Parks was mentioned multiple times here over the past couple of days. No practice again for Smith. He hasn't practiced at all, let me say that again, at all, since suffering a shoulder injury in the preseason game versus the Browns. Now, you do some math. The Browns' preseason game was 2 preseason games ago, right? They just played the Colts a couple of days ago on Thursday. The fact we have not seen Nolan Smith, even though it was probably a precautionary injury, nothing serious with that shoulder, has me very much concerned. Now, my hope is they're just keeping him out again for precautionary measures. It's not going to be a major deal. However, the fact that he still is not out there and we're getting closer and closer to game week 1 of the NFL regular season, definitely has me a little bit concerned and very curious to see what's exactly going on with Nolan Smith. Remember, shoulder injuries are kind of finicky, and the situation with Jalen Hurts last year is a good example. You thought he broke his collarbone wasn't broken. They still had to keep him out for a couple of games. If it's a similar situation, again, we don't know. Is it an AC joint? Is it 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 months, 4 months? No idea here. But the fact that he's still not practicing means he's probably a little bit more banged up than we would thought, because if anyone needs practice reps right now, it's the young guns. It's the rookies who are trying to contribute as quickly as possible. And so while we'll keep an eye on this, make sure to subscribe for any sort of latest updates going on with Nolan Smith. As of today, it does not seem to be necessarily bright as he continues to be out of any practices this week. at least so far throughout Monday. Now, over here to the Jonathan Taylor update, which we are closely following here on the Thomas Mott Show. You guys mentioned yesterday, or I mentioned yesterday, that the Eagles are technically still alive. And Stephen Holder, who's been all over this on Twitter the past couple of days, had an update this morning. Quote, Jonathan Taylor, talks continue, and as expected, this will go down to the wire. On one tidbit, I believe there'll be a second team involved beyond the Dolphins, which will certainly change the dynamics, end quote. That second team most likely is Philadelphia. Think about the teams that are no longer in on this. The Rams are out. The Bears are out. There seemingly are 2 teams left, and that was what we said yesterday in the Dolphins and the Philadelphia Eagles. The deadline is what's new and updated here. We know it's we know it's Tuesday, tomorrow, between 3:30 and 4 p.m. Eastern time. And so really, there's a chance we could have something either today or at some point tomorrow. And if that were to happen, and Philadelphia is the team that Jonathan Taylor is able to go to, I will go live immediately. Be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell for that. Do you guys want Jonathan Taylor? I love reading the comments on yesterday's video. It feels like most people do, but how do you do it at the right price? My whole take on it is very simple. I'll sum it up in 30 seconds. I want Jonathan Taylor. I would love Jonathan Taylor. I would give up no more than a 2nd or 3rd round draft pick for him, and I would make sure he was fine playing on the current deal that he's on and use him as a 1-year rental. Now, you might not want to give up a 3rd round draft pick for a 1-year rental, but I think he's that good, and in this offense, on a team that is all in for the Super Bowl, it might be worth going ahead and pulling the trigger. Love your thoughts. Let me know if I'm wrong down below in the comments section. Now, over here to the final look by the, of course, Eagles roster, and Gate City Sports has a good tweet here regarding the fact that we are going to have major cuts tomorrow. Tomorrow is officially the cut day. They could do some cuts later on today, but I'd go ahead and hop on and cover that if that were to happen. But as we stand today, the Eagles have 83 players. Now, they did make a couple more cuts allegedly, reportedly, but officially, they've cut about 7 players. So that means there's about 30 more moves happening between right now and Tuesday's deadline at 4 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. From what's been reported, they want to practice with about 70 players today and tomorrow. One last chance for players to turn heads. The decisions will be interesting. And some of those key players, as we have mentioned many, many times, I'll boil it down to guys like Eli Ricks, right? Eli Ricks, the undrafted free agent cornerback out of Alabama, who's had an incredible training camp time and really good preseason. One of the highest rated cornerbacks by Pro Football Focus. Will he make the roster? Will speedster return star Devin Allen go ahead and make the roster? Will Justin Evans, who played pretty well over the course of the preseason, will he make the roster? And then, of course, plenty of offensive and defensive line players as well, battling out for positions on either the final 53-man or the 16 to 17 player practice squad that will also be finalized at some point either tomorrow, Wednesday, or Thursday. I'll have an update on video on that as well. So we do know that we are going to be having a lot of cuts going down the next couple of days. Let me know a player that you want to stay, and let me know a player that you think will go down below right now, because it's going to be up in the air and really up to what Philadelphia Eagles want to do, as this is going to be a fascinating next couple of days here. Yes, we're trying to finish out training camp, but we're also trying to get ready for the Patriots, and it's a great combination of both. Makes for good content. Hopefully you guys are enjoying that as well. Okay, plenty more stuff happening over the next couple of days and weeks. Make sure you guys subscribe. We have our Wednesday link live, myself and Josh Davis, coming up on Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and I do shows and shorts all the time, so make sure you guys subscribe for that. Hit that thumbs up button. We're so close to 18,000 subs. I mean, we started training camp at 13. We're absolutely flying right now. If you like the show, give it a subscribe, give the show a thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.